We have covered the works of Julian Hawthorne in episodes 199 and 287. Today we'll cover his 1896 The Golden Fleece. Professor Machins is visiting the South American ranch of his friend General Treadnock. The ranch is in a dry desert country, and the pair debate the idea of turning this desert into a paradise, should water be found underground. Treadnock had already speculated on finding a way to free a great underground sea. His scheme is supported in part by old Aztec legends recounted to his daughter Miriam by the seemingly infinitely old native Kamayakan, who treats her as his mistress due to having the blood of an Aztec princess in her veins. Kamayakan makes veiled references to a prophecy of a future flooding of the valley, along with mysterious treasure, all linked to a certain artifact, a woolen garment inscribed in gold and Aztec symbols, called the Golden Fleece by the general. This is supposed to be a unique garment, since according to Machins, the Aztecs knew wool but did not wear it. Meanwhile, Treadnock informs Machins of a certain event, tying back to when they were contending for the same woman at school, but in the end neither won and she married someone else. This woman, now departed, had a daughter, Grace, who had to undergo the indignity of working as a shop girl in a New York shop, but has become ill and was sent to Treadnock's ranch to recover. At the same time, a young friend of the professor, Harvey Freeman, civil engineer, and just the man he would have wanted to go find water in the desert, telegraphs he is on his way. Indeed, Harvey and Grace are on the same train, and the whole chapter is dedicated to their annoying flirtation. Really sappy and meaningless, since when Harvey arrives at the ranch, he immediately falls for Miriam instead. Grace tries to win his favor back, and even lavishes her attention on a local Mexican grandee named Mendoza to make him jealous, but all in vain. In fact, the author has a short and pointless digression here, of an assumed romantic triangle, where Freeman thinks Mendoza is after Miriam, and even challenges him to a duel in the desert. Luckily, the two are spooked by the professor's moth lantern, Harvey shooting it and drawing the professor's attention, and he rightly chews out Harvey for being an idiot to engage in his whole duel nonsense, especially since Mendoza is not even a rival of his. Around this time, Miriam has been seen to be acting in an odd way, appearing in Aztec headdress and costume, talking in an unknown language to Kamayakan, as they meet in secret. But this is not Miriam, but the spirit of her ancestress, the Princess Semitzin, who had been drawn into Miriam's body by Kamayakan. He needs her help, as she is the only one who remembers where Montezuma's treasure had been hidden, a spell being in place that only Semitzin may retrieve it. Of course, Semitzin is almost immediately in love with Harvey, after having seen him once. When Miriam is next in control of her own body, she also immediately falls in love with him, and so Semitzin wishes to keep control of the body forever, and keep Miriam out. During the climax, the treasure is discovered very close to the prone form of Freeman, who had wandered into the desert and been stunned by a flying stone. But Kamayakan, when looking for the treasure, breathes in some poisonous gases and dies. Semitzin is now no longer able to keep the body, and Miriam is back. Everyone very confused about what happened. Harvey marries Miriam, while Grace decides to marry Mendoza, after the pair had been off-screen by the author vainly looking for the treasure in the wrong place. Indeed, Grace and her Mexican paramour could have been omitted entirely, and nothing would be lost. The insipid romanticism gets in the way of the story, so that the spiritual possession aspect is barely in it at all. Semitzin shows up exactly twice. The Golden Fleece is almost an afterthought, and is barely mentioned at all. This is the least of the author's supernatural novels so far.